Piers Morgan Uncensored episodes. If you look at his writings for the New York Post, his appearances on Fox News, his Twitter page, it's very obvious he grades Trump on a curve. Donald Trump and the Trump administration for their cruelty, their lack of respect for due process, and their dishonesty when it came to the unlawful deportation of Kilar Abrego Garcia. On the most recent episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, even the usually Trump sycophantic Piers Morgan was visibly fed up and called out Donald.
Even Trump's most loyal defender has finally had enough. Piers Morgan, the guy who usually defends Trump like he's getting paid by the compliment, just ripped into him on Bill Maher's show over the deportation disaster with Kilar Abrego Garcia. You know things are bad when Piers Morgan starts fact-checking Trump instead of kissing up to him. What made Trump's media bestie finally snap, and why is this deportation case so damning that even Trump's biggest fanboy couldn't defend it? The answer might shock you. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video.
Was not supposed to be deported back to El Salvador because of the risk to his life from other gangs. We haven't heard from this. We don't know where he is in this prison. Is he alive? The key problem with this is the lack of due process, and it's coming back to haunt the administration, because when you get a guy like this who, according to a ruling in a court in 2019, and let's not pretend that Donald Trump can't pick the phone up to the president of El Salvador. Of course he can. They're paying millions of dollars to facilitate these guys being put in.
Wait, did someone replace Piers Morgan with a body double? The guy who spent years defending Trump's every move just ripped into him on national TV. I'm serious. This is like seeing your vegetarian friend suddenly chomping down on a triple cheeseburger. It makes no sense. For those who don't know, Piers Morgan has been Trump's media bestie for ages. This is the same guy who's written countless fawning New York Post columns about Trump. The same dude who goes on Fox News to explain why we should all cut poor Donald some slack whenever he says something bonkers. Whenever Trump tweets something that makes normal people do a spit take with their coffee, there's Piers, ready to tell us why it's actually genius political strategy. So imagine everyone's shock when Morgan appeared on Real Time with Bill Maher and suddenly decided to break up with his orange BFF.
The key problem with this is the lack of due process, and it's coming back to haunt the administration, because when you get a guy like this who, according to a ruling in a court in 2019, and let's not pretend that Donald Trump can't pick the phone up to the president of El Salvador. Of course he can. They're paying millions of dollars to facilitate these guys being put in.
The moment was jaw-dropping. There sat Piers, his face all scrunched up with actual frustration. Not at Trump's critics, but at Trump himself. His usual smug defender of Donald expression was replaced with what looked like genuine anger. What caused this bizarre personality switch? The Kilar Abrego Garcia deportation case. This wasn't just any immigration dispute. It involved a man sent back to El Salvador despite a 2019 court ruling specifically saying he shouldn't be deported because his life would be in danger. Pretty serious stuff. During the show, Morgan called out the Trump administration's handling of the case for its cruelty, lack of respect for due process, and dishonesty. Those aren't my words, those are direct quotes from Trump's usual cheerleader. Morgan even pointed out how easy it would be for Trump to fix the situation, saying he could simply pick up the phone to the president of El Salvador. The most shocking part, Morgan seemed genuinely disturbed by the administration's disregard for legal process. He specifically criticized them for ignoring court orders and making flimsy excuses. This is the same Piers who normally defends Trump's every sneeze, suddenly acting like due process and respecting the courts actually matter. What a concept. Morgan even went so far as to suggest that Trump's actions in this case were fundamentally against American values. When a guy who's built his recent career on Trump defending suddenly starts waving the American values flag against him, you know something serious is happening, and those American values Trump supposedly trampled weren't just some fluffy political talking point. They involved a unanimous Supreme Court ruling that his administration treated like junk mail.
Donald Trump, as Piers Morgan and others have noted, couldn't just pick up the phone and either bargain with or demand that Bukele, who is the president of El Salvador, return Kilar Abrego Garcia.
The whole Supreme Court
unanimously said
So let's hope that happens.
Yeah. And they said he has rights, habeas corpus rights.
Judge Paula Zenas found herself in the bizarre position of having to babysit the entire Justice Department when they couldn't seem to follow basic instructions. Bring back the guy you wrongfully deported. The courtroom drama unfolded like a frustrating episode of a legal sitcom, except nobody was laughing, especially not Judge Zenas. As she presided over the Garcia case, her patience evaporated faster than water in the Sahara. The record as it stands is your clients have done nothing to facilitate the return of Mr. Abrego Garcia, she bluntly told the government lawyers. Imagine being a federal judge and having to tell the Justice Department they're not doing their job. That's like having to remind a surgeon they should probably wash their hands before surgery. Trump's legal team, led by Justice Department attorney Drew Ainen, kept playing dumb in court. When asked about Garcia's whereabouts or what steps they were taking to bring him back, they suddenly became amnesiacs, and then repeatedly avoided giving specifics, claiming he didn't have basic details. Convenient, right? Meanwhile, the administration was trying to have it both ways, admitting Garcia was mistakenly deported, but claiming they couldn't bring him back because he was in Salvadoran custody. It's like saying, oops, we accidentally threw your cat over the neighbor's fence, but now we can't get it back because it's in their yard.
Here's what to know about the case. The Trump administration has conceded that it mistakenly deported him, quote, because of an administrative error, but maintains it cannot bring him back because he is in Salvadorian custody. Quote, I'm not asking for state secrets, Zenas said after Ensign told her he didn't have basic details on where Abrego Garcia is. Quote, I'm asking a very simple question. Where is he? Ordered the Justice Department to provide daily updates on what the administration is doing to facilitate the return of Abrego Garcia, but it remains unclear whether the reports would prove satisfactory to either the court or the lawyer.
Judge Zenas wasn't buying these flimsy excuses. She was so fed up with the stonewalling that she ordered the Justice Department to provide daily updates on their efforts to return Garcia. And not just any updates, she demanded sworn statements from someone with actual knowledge of the case. She even had to ask basic questions like, where exactly is Garcia now? And what steps have you actually taken to bring him back? When a judge has to assign daily homework to government lawyers, you know things have gone completely off the rails. This wasn't just a legal misunderstanding, it was potentially a full-blown constitutional crisis. The executive branch was essentially giving the middle finger to both the judicial branch and the founding principles of our government. The administration's behavior made a mockery of Trump's public promise that if the Supreme Court said bring somebody back, I would do that. His team was doing exactly the opposite, testing the limits of our separation of powers. So here we are, at the point where even Piers Morgan can't defend the indefensible. When Trump's media bestie starts calling out his cruelty on Bill Maher's show, you know we've crossed into bizarro world. The real question hanging in the air like Trump's hairspray cloud, will other Trump cheerleaders follow Morgan's lead? Or will they keep twisting themselves into human pretzels defending actions that not even the Supreme Court can stomach? Maybe we should send Piers to the doctor for a wellness check. Or perhaps he just accidentally found his moral compass while looking for his TV remote. Either way, when Morgan's had enough, you know Trump's really stepped in it.